All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Hexbug JunkBots Will Wallop from the Factory Collection. If you're unfamiliar with the JunkBots line, basically it's just a bunch of little customizable, buildable robot guys that are made out of a bunch of spare parts and different machinery. And because they're part of the Hexbug toy line, they also have little motorized and LED functions. And yeah, this time around we're taking a look at Will Wallop. The Factory Collection is basically the Series 2 of JunkBots, so he's a Series 2 guy. And yeah, he's a nice little robot. His main body here, I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be some kind of generator or something. And like, if you look at his, if you take off his head here and look at the detail around it, it's got like this weird sort of messy section, which to me, it looks like it's a bunch of like ripped up concrete or something. It even has a little like footprint right there, and these little sections right here look like rebar, so maybe it's implying that this was like, you know, implanted into the ground and then ripped up before it somehow became Will Wallop's body. But then I don't know how the footprint would be on that side. I don't know. I think it must be something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but it's some neat detail nonetheless. And then his head looks like an anvil, but I don't know what anvil would have like translucent sections like that, which is a little weird, but whatever. And then he's got, you know, a piece of rebar for his arm here. He's got a boxing glove for this one hand, and then a big hammer made out of a cinder block. That's kind of cool. On this arm, he's got a wrench arm. That's pretty cool. We've seen that piece before. And a little shield made out of a manhole cover. And the rest of him is pretty much just like generic machine parts and stuff like that. Oh my gosh. I just noticed right now that one of his feet is like a dead fish. I didn't notice that before. It's got his one. I thought it was just like another generic sort of machine part like this one was, but I'm looking at it now. It looks like a little open mouth fish there that's maybe on a boot somehow. I don't know what the story with that part would be, but either way, kind of a neat part there. But yeah, no, he's a nice little guy. I like his whole like weapon aesthetic where he's got the big hammer and the shield. It's kind of a little, I don't know, like little barbarian dude or something like that. But yeah, he's pretty cool. Here he is with his little sheet that shows off his build there and how to put all the parts together. In terms of his use with the different modules, he's got some fun stuff going on, not overly exciting. We'll start off with the little vibrating module here. Just plug it into his back. This is never usually the most exciting one, but with him, I don't know, it doesn't work particularly well just because like the vibrating one really works better with some of the you know, more quadrupedal JunkBots, but the bipedal ones, it usually just makes them fall over or fall to pieces in his case, I guess. Let's see if we can get him there a little bit. Yeah, okay. Well, we can get him to stand and jitter around a little bit, but it's still not overall that exciting just because, you know, of the distribution of weight doesn't really allow him to get a whole lot of movement out of it. In terms of the motor module, you just plug it into the back there. It's subtle. Basically, the little clear plastic section inside the generator is spinning. You know, kind of hard to notice unless you're really looking for it, but you know, subtle, but that's okay. They don't all have to be that exciting. And then if we take the LED module here, can plug that in. I wonder actually, does this piece also spin when the motor is plugged in? I haven't tried that. Yeah, seems like it does. This is not the ideal piece to plug into it, but I guess let's take his manhole cover here. There you go. So it also does that, even though this particular build doesn't have anything plugged into that section. But if you do have something plugged into there, it would rotate, which is cool. And then yeah, in terms of the LED module, he's got a few spots here. You can plug it into here, 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 and then on his head, he's got two spots here and here. So we'll just plug it in there, and then we'll do two in the body and one in the head. How's that? If I can keep them staying together for the whole process. Come on. All right, let's do this one. Since it's giving me issues, put his hand back on so we can get the or just make him fall apart completely. All right. Yeah, that's the problem with these JunkBots is because it's, you know, this little modular toy line, it does you do want the pieces to be able to come off relatively easy so you can make different builds, but it does mean that they do sometimes have a tendency to just fall to bits with little provocation, which can be kind of annoying. But all right, this part came unplugged. Okay, let's get him. Come on, Will, work with me. Will. Come on now, Will. Come on. If I plug in one part, then something else falls off. There we go. So yeah, you can see it's lit up like that, and you know, that works pretty well. It's some nice subtle stuff there. Again, kind of weird to have a translucent anvil, but still pretty cool. And then actually, you know, if you plug in the if we get the motor module back out, maybe the effect would be a little bit cooler if it's got the LED section spinning there. Yeah, you know, because it catches the light a little bit more. That works a little bit better than it did without the LED section, but obviously you have to plug on both for that to work. So, you know, nothing overly exciting with the modules, but still some neat stuff nonetheless. In terms of articulation for this guy, I mean, obviously with all the JunkBots, it's really just a lot of ball joints, but, you know, his shoulders can move around, his elbows can move around on both sides. This obviously his wrist here. He can you can untab the little hammer there and give it to someone else if you want. Although sometimes it's hard to get it in here without like stressing out the piece that it's attached to, just because it's kind of like a wide plug-in section where it plugs in along most of the bar here. Once you get it in, it's pretty solid, but oh my god, I'm having trouble with this. Hold on. All right. Yeah, that really fought me way more than usual. Some of the connections on these guys can be a little bit hit or miss, but, you know, he's still a pretty cool little guy. Like I was saying, yeah, obviously you can move around his elbows, his shoulders. His head doesn't get a ton of movement just because of, you know, how it's kind of inlaid in this junk section right here. Obviously his legs can move around, but, you know, aside from you know, posing his arms in different positions, you're not really getting like a ton of poses out of this guy, just because like the legs, you know, you mostly just have to stand it up in a way where you can actually stand. You don't get a ton of range there, but it's nice to be able to kind of move the arms around and give him different postures. In terms of comparisons, if I can get him to stand up here for me, there you go. Here he is with a core class transformer, G1 mini bot, a bot, and the main poster child of the JunkBots toy line, Jack Static himself, and they look good together. You can see Will Wallop is kind of on the shorter end of JunkBots here, but he's still pretty cool. And yeah, you know, I like this guy a lot. I've been rating these guys pretty much for these JunkBots reviews. I rate them on either keep or edit or scrap, because that's the fun of these guys really, is like, you know, even if you get one that you really don't like, you can just take it apart and use all the spare parts to make your own guys. And sometimes the builds are mostly there in the case of like edit ones, whereas you just want to like take one part off or put a new part on, or, you know, just change up the look a little bit. In terms of Will Wallop, I think he's a total keep for me. I wouldn't really change anything about this build. I like all these parts. You know, obviously his arm gets a little floppy sometimes, but if you just rotate it around on the ball joint, you can usually make it fall off, or you know, find one section where it's tight enough to kind of hold a pose. That's a lot of these guys, you know, the ball joints get a little bit warped over time, so you just kind of have to find the right position and leave them like that. But yeah, no, I think he's a total keep. I like his whole aesthetic. He doesn't do anything overly exciting with the modules, but, you know, at the end of the day, that doesn't bother me so much. I think that having fun little aesthetics in their you know, main build here is the most important thing. I love that he's got the little like barbarian thing going on where he's got the hammer and the shield. I just think he's a fun JunkBot overall. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Hexbug JunkBots Will Wallop from the Factory Collection.